Welcome to the first lecture of this semester, Digital Marketing Foundations. In this lecture, I will discuss some of the basic principles related to digital marketing that we will uncover later on this semester. So more specifically, I'd like to discuss what exactly is digital marketing and how is that different or even similar to just traditional marketing strategies. I'd like to also discuss some examples, go through what we call the strategic process, provide you all with a case study that I've actually worked on, and then a brief recap of today's lecture. So let's go ahead and discuss what exactly is digital marketing and delve into this definition here. So basically, digital marketing is the strategic use or approach of using digital tools and communication channels that help to support the overall marketing goal, reach out to current and even new customers. Again, if we're just referring to B2C marketing, business to customer marketing, and it helps to achieve our overall business objectives. Digital marketing is essential to the overall marketing strategy of your business. It truly shouldn't be separate, but rather fully integrated into the marketing plan, even if that plan contains marketing tactics outside of digital tools. So again, digital marketing really is no different from general marketing in terms of the function and purpose. The only difference really here is the actual medium and the audience that use those platforms. However, there are specific issues to consider when using digital marketing tools, such as messaging, video, the layout, design, and of course, analytics. Bud Cadell defines digital as a way of exploring content and ideas for users and connecting with and understanding customers for the marketer. So, in essence, digital marketing helps to drive brand value, right? And the creation of product or service demand. It can provide both the emotional and functional benefits of the business's product and or services, as well as the unique proposition strategy. I really like this quote from your Lumen reading, which basically states a website is quite literally an organization's digital address and calling card. But I would argue this goes beyond the website, and it really is applicable to many, if not all, digital tools because they are now initial touch points to the customers, given the digital world that we live in. So this type of marketing can be a little more advantageous in the sense that those tools help us to more precisely see if we are actually achieving our ROI goals. Excuse me. Consumers have more choice and autonomy over the types of interactions that they can have with brands and even the type of messaging they receive. This is primarily possible because of digital platforms. We can also engage in very niche marketing where we can narrow down our marketing strategy to, as Rob Stoke puts in his book titled The Essential Guide to Marketing in a Digital World. Those are factors like current location and recent brand interactions, which means that messages can and must be personalized and tailored specifically for the consumer. So, this is unlike television and billboards and other forms of traditional marketing tools that we might have used, where there is more of a wait and see approach to see whether or not we've actually accomplished our ROI goals. We can also adjust our marketing strategy more easily and seamlessly than traditional marketing tools. We're also seeing a lot more marketers invite the user into the creation process by incorporating user generated content into messaging. This usually leads to more engagement and long term relationships between the business and consumers. But of course, this is certainly not fail proof. So, up until this point, I'm sure you all might get the impression that I'm making digital marketing seem like it's the best thing out there, right? But there are some real challenges surrounding using this type of marketing. And one of those challenges are reputation management. Customers now have access to some of the same digital tools, primarily social media, and can control the brand reputation in a more consequential manner. And what I mean by that more specifically is that if a user has an issue with an organization, a business, whether it's a Fortune 500 corporation or a small business, they can take to social media, voice their opinions. And if more and more people hear about this business because of whatever someone tweeted or posted on their Facebook, it can have a tremendous impact on the brand's reputation. Essentially, the consumer is facilitating the conversation about the brand. And we saw this more specifically with Starbucks. Starbucks had actually initially prohibited their employees from wearing any type of paraphernalia related to Black Lives Matter because they felt like it might have made too much of a political statement. A lot of people saw issue with that, took to social media, and there was even a hashtag cancel Starbucks that circulated. So that's a great example of how customers can really have an impact on your brand's reputation. Another area that we're kind of seeing challenges surrounding digital marketing, of course, is cutting through the clutter of digital messages. Our consumers are really experiencing information overload and fatigue. So, how can you make sure that your message is not only unique, but that it is able to get to the actual user that you have in mind? That can be incredibly, incredibly difficult to do. Now we've gotten to the point where I'd like to actually show some examples of digital marketing that some of you all might already be familiar with. So of course we have SEO, which stands for search engine optimization, where we use analytics to make sure that, for example, when someone searches for Big Ten universities, Ohio State is one of the first, if not the first university that would appear in that search. Video marketing is becoming incredibly important and popular. It's something that digital marketers are constantly thinking about. In fact, research actually shows that video marketing can have more of an impact on the long-term relationships that we have with consumers compared to other forms of digital marketing. Then we have website marketing, which of course is also incredibly important because we want to make sure that we're using marketing strategies that will leverage what we call our owned media. And that includes, again, our website, anything that we have complete control over the content creation process. When we're referring to email marketing, we are using email platforms to support our digital efforts. We can reach a lot of people on almost any digital device, and we can use this to generate leads, strengthen relationships with consumers, and entice them with our latest products, services, and of course, discounts and other related promotions. MailChimp is a popular platform used to facilitate email marketing. And then we have paid display ads and even paid promoted posts that we might see on social media. I will say though, paid ads are increasingly becoming less effective because consumers are more skeptical of these types of communications. We might want to instead use earned media such as social media micro or macro marketing, or even another type of paid advertising called native advertising, which is essentially the use of paid ads that match the look, feel, and function of the media format in which they appear. So the slide that you see here is actually content from a textbook that we will read on occasion. That textbook is titled The Essential Guide to Marketing in a Digital World. So Rob Stokes, the author of this textbook, argues that, of course, digital marketing should be rooted in a strategic process. And what that looks like is essentially we can divide that strategic process up into four categories. And those four categories are think, create, engage, retain, and optimize. So we need to ask, where are people spending their time in the planning stage or the thinking stage? We need to invest more in message research, particularly digital message research. Think about data at the beginning of the campaign planning process and what tools you can use to make sure strategies are measurable. We also want to make sure that we're investing in creative, especially video. So make sure you're putting your digital first. And again, an example of that is square versus vertical quotes for your video, pushing your message towards the front of your video, and thinking about the title of that project. The case study that I want to discuss is a campaign that I actually was a part of for Zora's House. Zora's House is a co-working community space for women of color in the Columbus, Ohio area. We wanted to not only revitalize our membership, but more importantly, invite women of color to make a statement that spaces, of course, like Zora's House, that center the experiences of women of color are needed. And the title of this campaign was 100 Women, 100 Days. So the goal of the campaign was essentially to get 100 new members to Zora's House in 100 days. The campaign started, I believe, December 1st and then went until March 17th. So that covered not only the holidays, but also Women's History Month and Black History Month. We used a multifaceted approach for this digital marketing campaign. So, first, we implemented email marketing tactics using MailChimp as a tool to create and send out messages through the community and member newsletter. That way, we could reach out to current members who were already in the middle of their customer journey with Zora's House, as well as the general public who have heard of us but did not yet become a member at that point. We also, of course, use social media marketing and influencers where we invited people to change their profile picture or to repost our posts announcing this wonderful campaign. And what I mean by changing the profile pictures is that image that you see there on the slide. We invited people to use that as their profile picture. We even created a separate website for the campaign to give a little more detail than perhaps what you might find in a social media post about the campaign and why it was so important that women of color have a specific space that, again, truly centers their lived experiences. And then we created a social media hashtag 100 Women, 100 Days. There were many things that we learned from this campaign, some wins that we can certainly celebrate, and some things that we can look forward to improvement upon for future digital marketing campaigns. One of which is we had more than 3,000 people open up our email marketing messages related to the campaign. However, we did not actually achieve 100 new members or getting 100 new members in 100 days, but we did surpass our fundraising goal of $4,000. And I thought that point was actually really interesting here, how although we did not achieve 100 new members in the 100-day period that we had sought out, we did actually achieve the $4,000 goal of fundraising. And I think that just basically showed us how there are certainly people who support our mission, but not necessarily want to become members of Zora's House. And then in terms of impressions and exposure, we were able to get around 70,000 impressions for both Facebook and Instagram. As a reminder, impressions are not necessarily a measure of engagement. Impressions basically measure whether or not or how many people were exposed to your message. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're clicking on your advertisement, for instance. They're actually reading the content. It's just whether or not they were exposed to the message in their, for example, social media timeline or some other platform. So once more, although the campaign was not successful in achieving the amount of members that we wanted to, it certainly showed us that people are in support of our organization's mission and that they are able to or want to support it in other ways, again, other than becoming a member. Okay, now we're at the end of lecture here. So I'd like to go ahead and recap what was discussed. So first, digital marketing serves the same purpose as marketing more broadly. We're just choosing a different medium, a different platform, and consequently, we might be reaching out to slightly different audiences. While strategizing our digital efforts, it's important to realize that there is definitely more than one tool out there that will help us to accomplish our business objectives and the overall marketing plan. And again, it would be in our best benefit to essentially use that strategic process that I had referred to earlier in today's lecture. Also, digital research is so imperative to your overall strategy. You don't want to just, for example, post content for the sake of posting content. Make sure that you have some type of intention and, of course, overall strategy in mind that's rooted in market research or even secondary research. And we'll talk about that later on the semester as well. And of course, we want to make sure that we are leveraging our analytics in order to improve our future digital communication efforts. We certainly never want to reach a point where, we become too complacent with our digital marketing strategies. There's always going to be something that we need to learn about or that we need to incorporate in order to create a more meaningful connection with our consumers. So that takes care of today's lecture, and I will see everyone next week.